What's up, guys? This is the third and final installment in the complete Epstein timeline. If you haven't seen the first two episodes, I would go check those out. Together, all three of these paint the most comprehensive picture of Trump's involvement with the Epstein case, dating all the way back to the 1980s. Now, buckle up and get ready because this episode is a big one. It's kind of a double episode. We're going to be covering from Jeffrey Epstein's absolutely batshit deposition all the way to Trump's interview after Ghislaine Maxwell went to prison. Now, this one unfolds with a lot of circumstantial evidence that I feel like really ties together all the information we've gotten in the first two episodes. And I mean, here's where you start to notice Trump's pattern of behavior that are really alluding to his guilt. And don't worry, we're going to be making a lot more videos as this case unfolds. We're following this thing all the way to the bitter end. There's a lot of victims counting on us not giving up on this. Again, if you want to support the channel, please like, hit that sub button, turn those noties on, and feel free to share. And we always appreciate the members. Seriously, thank you guys. We just hit 50K. Today was a big day. I'm pretty excited about it. That said, let's get in here and finish this story. Let's get into it. In 2005, the Palm Beach police investigation into Epstein begins. 2008, he pleads guilty to 2 felony prostitution charges and is sentenced to 18 months in prison. He had 12 hours a day work release, so he was only in prison at night and on like one day of the weekend, and he had the cushiest prison schedule. But this was the plea deal where Alex Acosta gave him immunity and let him off on all federal charges behind the backs of the victims. In September 2009, Juan Alessi, who worked for Epstein from 91 to 2002, said in a deposition that Trump would come have dinner at Epstein's El Brillo Way property. He also says Trump did not take massages while he was there. In 2009, attorney Bradley Edwards claims Trump was the only person to respond to a series of subpoenas issued to Epstein's influential friends. See, of course, though, if you're guilty, that's absolutely what you would do. Leaning into the thing is a technique. Trump's behavior here is like pretty standard for, not wanting to get in trouble. In 2010, Epstein pleaded the fifth when asked if he had socialized with Trump in the presence of females under the age 18.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
All right, so he wouldn't answer that question. You see that little head shake there, too? Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of girls under the age of 18? Taking the 5th. I mean, guys, if the answer is no, why you taking the 5th, right? I mean, come on, man. That is a no-brainer. In a 2011 Daily Mail interview with journalist Sharon Kutcher, Virginia Giuffre claims Donald Trump was also a good friend of Jeffrey's. He didn't partake in sex with any of us, but he flirted with me. He'd laugh and tell Jeffrey, "You've got the life." So Virginia Giuffre said that Trump wasn't involved in sex with any of her crew, but that doesn't mean Trump wasn't involved with a little bit more of a private shit. I mean, we know that Trump most certainly was, much more careful. Like what happened when Maria Farmer met him in that dark office building. Trump came in and Jeffrey's like, no, she's not for you. She's not here for you. Okay, Trump is not going to have sex with, a young girl at an open sex party in front of a bunch of other people. Okay, it just means he didn't have sex with Virginia Giuffre. I mean, she had worked at Mar-a-Lago too. Like, I'm certain Trump's not going to be involved in that batch. In court documents, Virginia claims the headlines were invented by Churcher, that Trump had not flirted with her, nor had she seen him with any minors, nor at any of Epstein's properties. So we know from other sources above that Trump did visit Epstein in New York and Palm Beach. So that's interesting. She did an interview, and then when she went to court, she changed up her story a little bit. Then Epstein's plane, here we go. This is Epstein's plane right here, parked next to Trump's plane in Palm Beach. Look at that. Their planes are parked right next to one another. Not an accident. Now, in January of 2015, Trump is named, as well as Ivana, Ivanka, and Robert, in Epstein's little black book. After turned up in court proceedings, Trump was identified by the butler who provided the book as a potential material witness. And look at this, dude. Look at all the numbers. There were literally every Trump number. Had his email, his offices, his home, his private cell number, his Palm Beach numbers. He had every number for Trump and Melania. Okay, he had all of them. His house people, he had his security, head of security, Norma for direct emergency. He literally had every way to contact Donald Trump that was possible. All of them. Okay, having the emergency numbers is crazy, dude. February 2015, at the annual CPAC, Trump brings up Epstein and Clinton.
Bill Clinton.
Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Now, see, this is Trump 2015, right before he was running for president. This was Trump using the, Epstein is a Clinton thing. And this was something that Trump and the Republicans and all of the right-wing influencers have done. That Epstein was a Clinton thing, a Democrat thing, a Hollywood thing, Hollywood elite pedo ring, Pizzagate thing, right? This was their narrative of, taking the complete heat off of them, right? And now, though, they've turned tail on this, right? All right. So now it has been reported that Trump met with AMI CEO David Pecker in the weeks leading up to the conference and discussed copies of the Inquirer's coverage of the Prince Andrew photo. Trump said Pecker told him the pictures of Clinton that Epstein had from the island were worse. Okay. The journalist corroborated the instance with Michael Cohen. The claims promulgated several years earlier in Roger Stone's book. The former editor of the National Enquirer told us his reporters had learned that Maxwell had retained a photo of Clinton in a compromising position with a 17-year-old. Okay, so now there's some talk about these guys being caught with pictures with underage girls. Although salacious, it is difficult to ascertain their credibility. On one hand, only convicted felons have repeated them. On the other, from January 2015, around the same time the rumors originated until Trump's GOP nomination, Roger Stone was targeting Clinton's ties to the scandal to, of course, try to sink Hillary. Furthermore, in November 2016 InfoWars segment, Stone may have let slip that he knew about Virginia's allegations against former Democrat Governor Bill Richardson and former Democratic Senator George Mitchell 3 years before the public. Neither of these details are conclusive. The rumors could still simply be made up. Still, Trump's comments in February can be taken in the context of an escalating attack on Clinton. And yeah, that was a big part of their shit, was to attach Epstein to Clinton while he was running. Now, also in April of 2016, Katie Johnson's accusations from 94 were filed in California without counsel. Okay, and David Pecker's Radar Online broke the news. Trump told Radar moments ago the allegations are not only categorically false, but disgusting at the highest level and clearly framed to solicit media attention or perhaps are simply politically motivated. There's no merit to these allegations. Now, I do want to tell you a story about this because the way the Katie Johnson thing played out was this. So Katie Johnson was tied to a producer that had been part of the Jerry Springer show. And that producer helped her file this anonymous claim. Okay, it was a Jane Doe claim in San Bernardino County. It was a civil filing, but it wasn't filled out right. Like it was a civil rights like claim in civil court, but they didn't actually list how her civil rights had been violated. But simultaneously at this time, though, that same Jerry Springer producer was running around trying to sell Katie Johnson's story for a profit. Then what happened, though, is later this was kind of used to try to discredit Katie Johnson. But I think she met him and he was like, I'm going to help you with this, because what later happened is she dumped him and she hooked up with attorney Lisa Bloom, who was the attorney that represented Bill O'Reilly's victims, who was a very well-known attorney that handled SA cases. And then they filed one under the name Katie Johnson in New York. And then they had a press conference, and then Katie Johnson didn't show up after getting a whole bunch of death threats. But she did later refile a correct suit with an actual attorney after this thing. So there is some speculation that producer guy was trying to like, yeah, I'll help you with this, but he was really just trying to sell it and make some money. Pecker's media organizations would later be implicated in protecting Trump from the allegations in Ronan Farrow's book. For context, Pecker is the catch and kill of the Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. Pecker was his friend that would plant false stories in the National Enquirer and buy and kill stories that were going to be harmful. Okay, Pecker was also instrumental in protecting Harvey Weinstein from sexual abuse allegations. He tried to blackmail Jeff Bezos. I mean, Pecker is just fucking crazy, like shitheady in Trump protection. Then Trump gets the nomination. In June of 2016, Katie allegations resurface in a Huffington Post piece by attorney Lisa Bloom. Bloom offers to represent her in her suit against Trump. And then in September, the final rendition of the Johnson lawsuit is filed in September with Bloom. She announces a November 2 press conference right before the election. And that was the press conference that Katie Johnson didn't show up at. Then October of 2016, Pizzagate. This was promulgated by a lot of these far-right QAnon people. It was a bizarre conspiracy theory linking Hillary Clinton and other top Democrats to Satanism and a clandestine child trafficking ring. All bullshit. A Rolling Stone investigation traces the original Facebook post to a user out of Joplin, Missouri named Carmen Katz. The post, which directly invokes Epstein's scandal, went viral. My NYPD source says this is much more violent and serious than classified material on Weiner's device. Email details the trips made by Weiner, Bill, and Hillary on their pedophile billionaire friends plane the Lolita Express. Yup, Hillary was a well-documented predilection for underage girls, and Weiner could not bear to see those details deleted. We're talking about a child enslavement sex ring, and this guy's stirring this. This was all part of the smear campaign that was part of the whole, like, during Trump's campaign. This was used to try to sink Hillary and Huma Abedin and the whole 9 yards. Over the coming days and weeks, the conspiracy would be propagated by GOP operatives such as Eric Prince, Mike Cernovich, Roger Stone, Alex Jones. It was also Posobiec. It was all those guys, right? And then it spread to those Twitter accounts like, you know, any right-wing Twitter account, possibly in an attempt to apply pressure to reopen the Hillary email investigation or to deflect from the Katie Johnson filing that happened in New York. It would culminate 2 months later in a shooting incident at a DC pizza shop called Comet Ping Pong. And of course, we know that this had nothing to do with anything. That pizza shop was a big nothing. Then November 2nd, Katie Johnson pulls out of the highly anticipated press conference and 2 days later drops her suit. She reported that she faced death threats leading up to this. November 8th, Trump wins the election. December 2016, Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, is photographed with Epstein's pilot. Oh, shit. In December. Yikes. All right. According to CBS producer Ira Rosen, Ghislaine Maxwell acknowledged Epstein recorded tapes of Trump and Clinton engaged in illegal conduct. Holy shit. See, I don't know, when I start hearing Ghislaine Maxwell telling producers this, like, I just don't see her sinking Trump, man. She was like one of his closest confidants. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He says, I want the tapes. I know there's tapes of Trump. She says, I don't know where they are, but like, does that confirm their existence? This is all super sketchy, right? I'm not really buying this shit. That feels very tabloid sketchy. Okay. Trump gets inaugurated in April of 2016. Alex Acosta, who gave Epstein the sweetheart deal back in 2007, became the fucking labor secretary. So he gets a boost. The guy who lets Epstein off instantly gets a cabinet position. Trump model management is shut down the same month because of immigration controversies. Okay, in November 2017, QAnon, another bizarre conspiracy theory about a global cabal of pedophiles against which Donald Trump is waging a secret war, brings up Epstein in a Q drop. Oh, shit. So now that Trump was president, we're getting these Q drops that are about Clinton, okay? Jesus. It's like, this is crazy, okay? That like now that Trump is president, we're getting all these Q drops about Maxwell and Epstein, but they're tying it to Clinton. Okay, it's all tied to Clinton. It's tied to Virginia Giuffre, but all of it is leaving out Trump. Then in December of 2017, rumors Trump visited Epstein at the El Brio property. Seth Abramson argues it was around Christmas time. Also propagates a rumor that Epstein advised Trump on foreign policy. Now, I will say this, guys, okay, that Epstein was giving interviews while Trump was president, and he was divulging a bunch of information that, like, you couldn't just get from news articles. And so there was definitely some signs that looked like Jeffrey Epstein had been talking about the inner workings of the Trump admin while Trump was president, because he definitely was out running his mouth, divulging information that you weren't finding by reading a Washington Post article. A year after leaving Trump's admin, Steve Bannon is seen going into Epstein's property. Okay, this is crazy. Steve Bannon going to Epstein's house. That's nuts. A year after leaving the Trump admin. Then in 2018, Julie Brown's A Perversion of Justice is published. And this is the article that reopened the Epstein investigation. Okay? That was November of 2018. Okay? This is a year and a half after Trump takes office. And Julie Brown rebrings the investigation. While many authors and journalists had come before Brown, her reporting about the plea deal under Acosta struck a nerve, propelled the case from the tabloids out into the mainstream, into the national discussion. Now, this started the controversy that ended up with Alex Acosta falling on the sword and leaving the administration, basically taking all the heat for the Epstein thing. Then Epstein gets arrested and ends up dead. In February of 2019, Bill Barr was confirmed as Attorney General. There are largely unsubstantiated claims that Barr's father, who prior to the CIA served in the Office of Strategic Services, there are some unsubstantiated claims he provided Epstein with a job at the Dalton School. We don't know if there is any actual real connection there. Attorney Bradley Edwards, in a conversation with Epstein about the ongoing litigation, recounts Epstein talking about friend Trump and his boy Barr. So that's, again, some secondhand information. I don't know if that's necessarily a connection. People are, but they're, you know, I mean, they're somewhat connected. In 2019, Epstein is arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey in a joint investigation with the FBI and the NYPD. The QAnon theorists go wild, and an explainer from the New York Magazine on 4th of July, or maybe on the 5th, JFK Jr., who faked his own death 20 years ago, would reveal himself And then as QAnon interpreter Will Sommer puts it, team up with Trump and ship a huge number of top Democrats off to Guantanamo Bay for their participation in these global child sex rings. Again, they are constantly tying this to the Dems. And now, dude, why wouldn't they release it if it was all just the Democrats? You know what I'm saying? Right? You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Why wouldn't they release this shit? Of course, the wild theory turned out to be bogus, but on July 6th, they did arrest Epstein. On July 9th, Trump breaks his silence on the scandal and says this of his relations with Epstein.
And again, it was a decision made, I think, not by him, but by a lot of people. So we're going to look at it very carefully. We'll be looking at that very carefully, okay? Okay, anybody else?
Jeffrey Epstein is a terrific guy.
Well, I knew him like everybody in Palm Beach knew him. I mean, people in Palm Beach knew him. He was a fixture in Palm Beach. I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan. I was not, a long time ago. I'd say maybe 15 years. I was not a fan of his. That I can tell you. I was not a fan of his. So I feel very badly, actually, for Secretary Acosta, because I've known him as being somebody that works so hard and has done such a good job. I feel very badly about that whole situation, but we're going to be looking at that.
Dude, Acosta let Jeffrey Epstein off, and then he gave him a cabinet position. Like, what is he talking about, bro?
And looking at it very closely. We're also going to be signing a big contract in a little while, so we're going to see you in a little while in a different room in a different part of the White House where we're going to be signing up a big deal with Boeing. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Dude, this whole thing is sus, okay? Right? Oh, Lord. It does go deep. On the same day that Trump said that, Kellyanne Conway says this.
Does the White House believe that plea agreement that Acosta struck was indeed unconscionable? And does he enjoy the support of the president?
Well, first, let me just deal with Nancy Pelosi and her tweet, which I haven't seen, but I'm not surprised. It's classic her and her Democratic Party to not focus on the perpetrator at hand and instead to focus on a member of the Trump administration. They're so obsessed with this president that they immediately go to Alex Acosta rather than Jeffrey Epstein, as far as I can see.
Yeah, but again, dude, why would Donald Trump, of all the people he could make labor secretary, why would he give a cabinet position to the guy who let off the dude he supposedly doesn't like, right? He said, I'm no fan of his. I had a falling out. I barred him from my club for being a creep. He gets in trouble for sex with underage girls. An attorney goes behind the victim's back and gives him immunity to protect him and let him off. And then Trump picks that guy to be his labor secretary. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay. That is the obvious connection is he got the labor secretary position because he let him off. It was a ginormous protection network. Come on.
Jeffrey Epstein is the one who allegedly, but sure looks like strong evidence to me, is touching, if not raping, young girls. We'll see what the evidence provides. But these charges, as Jeffrey Berman said in New York yesterday, are unconscionable. They shock the conscience. They do for me. You don't have to have a teenage daughter to feel that pigs who touch young girls as such, touching children as that should rot in hell. But it sure helps to have a teenage daughter and feel that way. And now I talked to the president this morning. He hasn't talked to or had contact with Epstein in years and years and years. And over a decade, at least, he said. And he met Alex Acosta when Alex applied and got the job, where he's doing a great job. I mean, look at the economy. So I know everybody, you want to revisit what happened in Florida. New York has applied fresh charges to Jeffrey Epstein because they have a right to do that. And I hope we're all paying attention to who the true perpetrator is here.
See, it's crazy because every road of Epstein goes through Trump, right? Through Mar-a-Lago, through Ghislaine, through Trump and Ghislaine's father. Like, dude, every road, all the way through to the New York fashion world, to the Look You modeling competitions, to the modeling agencies, to the money, to the phone calls, to the airplane. I mean, dude, the private parties, it's crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy.
And so, and I know, I think some of your networks, frankly, and irresponsibly, if I may say respectfully, are saying Jeffrey Epstein charged for sex trafficking or raping minors, and you have a picture of Alex Acosta.
Yeah, you should have a picture of Alex Acosta, because Alex Acosta is the one who let him off. He gave him immunity to those charges, and he did it against the will of the victims. And so, yeah, there should be a picture of Acosta. There should be a picture of Trump appointing Acosta, and a huge question mark, which is like, what the fuck are these guys doing? So then in July, Acosta resigns, and he falls on the sword for this. Then comedian and former Apprentice staffer and former Trump pageant staffer Noel Casler negates his NDA and starts sounding off about Trump's ties to Epstein on social media, and he claims Epstein was Trump's protege. So this is crazy. This was way back in 2019. Okay, this is Noel Casler, who worked for Trump's pageants. So this is years ago, okay?
Trump Tower, where Trump first compromised his business associates. You know, he would have parties at the Plaza, which is also around the corner. I'm at 60th and Madison at the moment. So Trump would have parties at the Plaza, and he would bring the Trump models there, and he would get the guys, you know, doing a little blow, having a few drinks, and then he'd be like, go in the bedroom, you know, what, nobody's gonna find out, you're amongst friends, you know, and then he'd call them up a week later and say, hey, remember what you did the other night, you know, I have a tape of that, so that building permit you were gonna hold up, you might not want to. So that was Trump's MO, you know, he did
Dude,
it.
now that sounds like the most Trumpian thing ever, doesn't it? The threat, right? I mean, dude, this is so fucking believable. You know what I'm saying? It's so believable.
Atlantic City, he did it in Trump Tower, in the poker rooms that they have there, and the brothels, and he's probably doing it at Trump Hotel DC, and I pointed that out in a tweet this morning, and everyone goes, he learned it from Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so I need to clear this misconception up because it seems to be quite common. Trump trained Epstein. Epstein was Trump's protege. Look at the tape of the two of them at Mar-a-Lago. And
now, remember, guys, remember how Epstein was also doing interviews saying he wanted his modeling agency to be like Trump models? So it's kind of tracking that, like, Trump may have been using his modeling shit right? Like Trump may have been the guy who was sort of, you know, the schmoozer with him and Ghislaine Maxwell, right? And then Epstein's learning the ropes of how to use modeling businesses to front girls and blackmail people, etc., whatever.
Epstein, you know, recoils and doubles over when Trump says something in his ear. Trump's the guy who was dirty enough to make the pedophile, you know, Trump's a pedophile too, but, you know, to make Jeffrey Epstein double over, like, dude, I can't believe you said that. You know, that was Trump. He was the older brother in that relationship, and the kids called him Uncle Jeffrey. They're all a lot closer than they pretend to be now. I live in the same neighborhood as Epstein. I would see Ghislaine Maxwell, and you know, she'd be around town with him all the time. And Naomi Campbell, they'd always be at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, at the Waldorf, and, you know, Angel Ball, and all kinds of events. So, you know, Epstein based his trafficking off of what Trump did. You know, Trump model management was bringing Eastern European girls over to the U.S., throwing them in an apartment, 6 in a bedroom, charging them $2,000 a month to sleep in a bunk bed, you know, withholding legal fees that they needed for their visas, and then shopping them to his buddies. That's trafficking, and that's what Trump developed.
Jesus.
And Epstein later kind of used as well.
Dude, yeah. So that's some bold shit coming out there. And now, though, he's also tweeted today, he said there's a certain irony in the GOP's concerted effort to protect Donald Trump from a lifetime of sexual predation, much of it targeted at teenage girls as young as 13 years old. Jeffrey Epstein wasn't just a casual acquaintance, but more of a business partner, both in the trafficking of teenage girls and the collection of kompromat. Okay? And that's just it, right? And this is why she didn't sell Trump out, right? Like, I think, dude, Trump is really the center of this shit, okay? So then in August of 2019, Epstein is found dead. Then Trump retweets 2 QAnon conspiracy theories linking Bill and Hillary Clinton to Epstein's death. Remember this? Trump was retweeting shit that was claiming that Hillary and Bill killed Epstein. Like, wow, dude.
The retweet, which is what it was, the retweet, was from somebody that's a very respected conservative pundit.
So then he doubled down on the retweet from a respected conservative pundit, but it was QAnon conspiracy shit that he was retweeting. Then in July of 2020, Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested. Then they asked Trump about Maxwell's arrest, and he said, oh, I haven't been following the situation, but I wish her well. And yes, his behavior was very Cohen-like, but here it is.
The other day, a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that, but I do know that.
She has. She's been arrested for that.
Her
you know that.
friend or boyfriend,
Epstein,
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck.
Boy,
Let them prove somebody.
Dude, he sure didn't wish like Kilmar Abrego Garcia well, or he doesn't wish Obama well. But look at this look at how defensive he is. Oh, first off, her boyfriend committed suicide. Oh, I'd wish her well. I'd wish you well. I wish everybody well. Right? It's like, what the fuck? Like, he's freaking out, bro.
But I do know that.
She has. She's been arrested for that.
Her
you know that.
friend or boyfriend,
Epstein,
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that?
Oh, so you're saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed? And I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody.
Dude, Trump, when does he wish anybody well? Anybody? Right? Never.
And they took that and
I mean, she's a child sex, alleged child sex trafficker.
Big deal. But all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he killed? Was it suicide? I do. I wish her well.
Dude, wow. That shit, I know, dude, Michael Cohen is involved in some way too, of course. Because he's like covering for Trump, right? I mean, dude, these guys are all fucking involved. Then in July of 2020, Epstein's former Tower Financial associate turned victim advocate, Stephen Hoffenberg, told CNN of Trump and Maxwell's relationship. There's no dispute. They knew each other well. He liked her and she liked him. And now we know this. We know that Trump and Maxwell, if we go all the way back, guys, the earliest photos are Trump with Maxwell's dad. Okay, Trump and Maxwell, she was in his private apartment. It appears that Trump knew Maxwell before he even knew Epstein. That the real connection there was Trump and Maxwell, and that Epstein just sort of like glommed onto that. December 31st of 2020, attorney Lynn Wood, who had been litigating on behalf of Trump against the 2020 election results, claimed Jeffrey Epstein was still alive. Okay, this is crazy. Comments come after a 6-month campaign to tie Chief Justice John Roberts to 2 entries in Epstein's flight logs. So, dude, I didn't know about this, that there was John Roberts on the flight logs. Look at this. It says that there's a John Roberts on the flight logs. A Fox News anchor said, "This is not me. I did not know Epstein. I have not flown on that." But it says that a Bondi released Epstein flight logs in February 2025 showing a John Roberts. Okay, but no one can confirm that it's the Chief Justice John Roberts. But holy shit, though. I mean, dude, can you imagine? Maybe that's part of this, too. Because John Roberts is his point man. Well, yeah, this is a Fox News reporter saying it's not me. Because, of course, everybody named John Roberts is like, holy shit, who is that? But, dude, is it the Supreme Court justice? I mean, I could see it. Dude, he was like all pro the insurrection. Man, that's really interesting that a John Roberts was implicated. In fact, is John Roberts of the Supreme Court tied to this? Right? Is the presidential immunity that got forced through tied to this fucking case and whatever's going to happen here? And then in January, the Trump presidency ends. So this is all of the timeline, dude. But again, guys, the fact that Trump and Ghislaine are like way deeper. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.